Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2 is right around the corner, but in a recent interview with South Korean press, he talked a little bit about the potential third film in his trilogy, Dune Messiah, giving us an update on that movie, when we might see it, and his overall ambitions for it. On top of this, we now have a confirmation of the next Dune Part 2 trailer and the time frame in which it may finally drop online. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing what was said by the filmmaker surrounding both Dune Part 2 and Messiah, what that means for another project of his coming out in between both of those films, and discussing that revealed trailer date. If you haven't read Frank Herbert's Dune saga, there will be brief spoilers from the events of Dune Messiah in this video, so I'd recommend watching one of my other videos if you don't want to know too much about the direction it takes. Before I get into it though, if you want to keep up to date on any of my content surrounding Dune Part 2 and beyond, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. But without further ado, let's discuss the interview with Denis Villeneuve about his Dune Messiah film and the new trailer date for Dune Part 2. So in an interview in South Korea for a special Dune Part 2 event, Denis Villeneuve has spoken a little bit about a potential Dune Messiah film, and he's also mentioned more about Part 2 and what he's planning in between those two films in his trilogy. From an interview a while back, he did talk about his dreams of taking on a Dune trilogy, and that he had already started working on a script for a third film. He said, "If I succeed in making a trilogy, that would be the dream. I will say there are words on paper for a third film." Now, in speaking to the South Korean press, he gave us an update on a Messiah movie and all but confirmed that the script is nearly finished. He said, "The screenplay is almost finished, but it's not quite there. It will take a little time. There's a dream of making a third movie. It would make absolute sense to me." He continued by giving us a few more details in that same interview about what he is aiming to accomplish if he does take on that third film. He said, "Messiah was written by Frank Herbert as a kind of epilogue and a kind of warning. He felt that the way people received the first book was not exactly according to his desires. He felt like there was some kind of misconception. From my understanding, Frank Herbert felt that people thought it was a celebration of Paul Atreides, and he wanted it to be more of a warning to a charismatic figure, people who are blending religion and politics together. He wrote Dune Messiah to correct the view towards that first book. So to create that perspective, I made some decisions and choices with my adaptation." So of course, the second novel, which takes place over a decade after the events of Dune Part 2, reveals the ramifications surrounding Paul's ascension as Emperor. In a reverse to other sci-fi stories like with say Star Wars, it critiques the whole idea of a savior and shows us that even the most hopeful of messiahs can lead the world to genocide. The very notion of what we are leading towards gives this whole potential trilogy surrounding Paul Atreides that much more intrigue, and by the third film, it can essentially stand apart as its own journey in the frameworks of science fiction. He then touched on when we might see this third film, and like what he said in interviews before, he's aiming for there to be a bit of a break between Part 2 and Messiah. Denis and production members have gone on record before saying that they will need to have some time to allow for the actors to age up between the two films. So there's a lot of time involved, not just in making the films and putting as much creative effort into each one as possible, but also in waiting so that they can be done right with the actors having aged up. Villeneuve noted how he went immediately from making the first movie into making the second, and that there was no break or gap. He doesn't want to do the same thing in going from Part 2 directly into Messiah, plus the existence of a third Dune film depends on the box office of the second film anyway. In the interview he said, "I don't know exactly when I will go back to Arrakis. I might make a detour before just to go away away from the sun. For my mental sanity, I might do something in between, but my dream would be to go a last time on this planet that I love. So what I think he's referencing is that announced adaptation of Arthur C. Clarke's book Rendezvous with Rama, as that would act as a project in between both of his final Dune movies. After part 2, he can wait for the actors to age up a bit and then around 4 or so years later make that final project. It's understandable, especially when he's already spent a lot of time on Arrakis already, and it allows him to refuel and make Messiah down the road with a fresher sensibility for that material. It is a complete task on its own, and if it's the final film from Denis Villeneuve in his Dune universe, we all would want that to be as great as possible, and I think he would too. So at the minute, I think we're looking at Denis making Rendezvous with Rama between Dune Part 2 and Messiah, and I think there's a potential release period for that final Villeneuve Dune film. He normally puts projects out every 2 years or so a 2027 to 2028 release day would follow that pattern nicely. So essentially, we might see his Rama film in 2025, 2 years after Dune Part 2, and then 2 or so years later, get that Messiah film brought to life too. So while that's what Denis said about a possible Dune Messiah film and when we might see it, in the same interview he did also talk a bit more about Dune Part 2 and whether he thinks it surpasses the work that he and his team did on the first movie. He said, "For me, this film is much better than Part 1. There's something more alive in it. There's a relationship to the characters. I was trying to reach for an intensity and a quality of emotions that I didn't reach with Part 1 and that I did reach with Part 2. I'm not saying the film is perfect, but I'm much more happy with Part 2 than I was with Part 1. I cannot wait to share it with the fans and the moviegoers. The first movie was more meditative and contemplative. We were following a young man discovering a new planet and a new culture. The second movie, it's more of an action film than the first part. It's much more muscular. And we won't have long to wait to see more of that action that Villeneuve describes from Part 2, because alongside this interview with him, we also got a confirmation of when we are getting that next trailer for the movie, and as predicted last week, it's coming out before the US release of Wonka next Friday. In my trailer date prediction video a few months back, and in my breakdown of the first 10 minutes of Dune Part 2 last week, I said that it's very likely that we will see a new trailer before Wonka or Aquaman 2, because they are the biggest films that Warner Brothers has coming out before the next Dune installment. And on their recent Instagram posts celebrating the fans that they met at the CCXP event, the Dune account posted a title card at the end of that video which reads, "New trailer next week." So it's now official that a Dune Part 2 trailer is coming, and I think it's guaranteed that this trailer will drop online before next Friday, as they'd want the trailer to be attached to Wonka in US theatres. So we can expect the Part 2 trailer to come out anytime between this coming Monday and Friday at the latest, and of course, as always, I will be breaking it down and reviewing it here on the channel when it does come out. I think it will be interesting to see what they show, because they have already given us 2 full-length trailers over the last year. Will they actually show Elia Atreides? Will they show more of the Battle of Arrakis, extended clips from scenes we've already seen, or footage from other new scenes yet to be shown off? I personally think that they will show a lot of extended shots from scenes previously seen, and alongside a few additional moments, I don't think they're going to show much of Elia in any of the marketing. I know a lot of us here have read the book, but with Dune attracting a lot of new audiences too, I think it's only smart of them to keep that for the movie, as she is a big part of that story. They might show what the crowd at CCXP saw, where apparently there was footage of Paul communicating with his unborn sister in his mother's belly. Maybe there will be a tease like that, but again, I don't think we'll see pure footage of her or the character speaking, as that stuff will probably be saved for the movie. But regardless of things being kept under wraps or not, news, I do expect another great trailer from the film, whether it's more of the battles, more character work between Paul and Chani, or more from other new characters like Christopher Walken's Emperor, Florence Pugh's Princess Irulan, or Austin Butler's Fade Rother. We'll have to see, and if it's anything like the last trailers, I'm sure it will be another stunning new look at the film. But they were all the details surrounding Denis Villeneuve's interview on Dune Messiah Part 2 and the confirmation of the new trailer. I think the ambition from Denis in making his trilogy is very exciting to see, and just hearing more about it from him makes us all very hopeful that it's going to see the light of day. If Dune Part 2 is successful, then we will get that third film, and while we might have to wait quite a long time for it, I'm sure it will be another unique take on this world from the auteur filmmaker. Villeneuve has shown over the course of his career that he can do all types of sci-fi with Arrival and Blade Runner 2049, that he can do great thrillers and drama work with Prisoners and Sicario, and overall, I think he'd want to try different things in different genres beyond his Dune trilogy. And if what we get from Part 2 ends up being uniquely great, then we'd only be more excited for other films and projects he makes in the future, like with the upcoming Rendezvous with Rama. We'll have to see, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think towards what Denis said on Dune Messiah and Part 2, alongside what footage you would like to see in the upcoming trailer that's due to be released next week. So let me know down below in the comment section. For much more videos and news on Denis Villeneuve's Dune universe, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.